This is Shayna Glass, and you've been watching Outside the Games.
Well, we'd like to welcome everybody to our program of Outside the Games. Thank you so much for coming into our show. We have a great show planned for you today, but of course, this show is about the student athlete. It's about their character, academics, who they are on and off the field. They play sports, they do academics, so it's important. We get to understand family life and a lot of different things that surround them. Well, we have here with us a great student athlete. This is Isabella Garcia. Bella Garcia. She is from Murrieta, Mesa High School in California, GPA 3.9. She does two sports. One of that is softball, corner, and utility, also cross country. She's a runner. Yes. And she is that GPA, when I say 3.9, folks, she's working hard in the classroom and going to be doing that, trying to get to that 4.0. Bella Garcia, thank you so much for joining our program. We appreciate you coming in. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing really good. Thank you so much. Hey, so we always start out with family, Bella. Family's everything because that's your foundation. Without them, there's no student athlete. So we'd like to ask you this question. How would you define family and why?
I think family is the backbone to my whole life. You know, without my parents, I don't know where I would be, who I would be. They've really structured my life. And I think, they're the most important people in my life, you know?
Big. And talking about family, is there brothers and sisters there?
Yeah, I have one sister.
Okay, younger or older?
25.
Oh, she's older. So there's somebody you can kind of extract some information to say, what is it like on the other side?
Yeah, I've watched her grow up, you know? It's kind of, oh, she did this. Okay, I'm going to do this. She did
right.
That. I don't do that.
Totally. Mom and dad. Now, mom and dad play just the different roles in your life. One of them plays a certain role than the other, but they also have the same goal on helping you become the best student athlete, the best daughter possible. So let's start off with mom. What does mom do for you to help you out?
My mom is really the person who pushes me. You know, she's my dad's always been my coach. So my mom's kind of the person, okay, you're the calm one, I can go to you. You know, if she talks some sense into me, or, you know, if I just need anything, she's there. Softball related, anything related, I got her, you know, she's the eyes of the game.
I like that. She's the eyes of it. So that's good. Dad has another role.
Yes.
In your life, Bella. So tell us what dad does for you.
My dad has been my coach since I started playing, you know. He's the person who will push me and, you know, make sure he's why I'm where I am today, because he's pushed me to be who I am. He's taught me from a young age, you know, you gotta push to be where you want. So I think that's who he is to me, you know. He's always my coach.
Right. No, that's important. With that comes mentorship, Bella. Mentors play just a different role in your life because they're kind of that extension of family. Who would you say your mentors are and why?
I really think one of my biggest mentors is my coach, Tony Bracamonte. He is so amazing and he pushes me, you know. He's kind of like my dad, you know. He pushes me, but he's also teaching me, you know, for later in life. You know, being on time, getting that job. Like, that's where he is. He's pushing me for my future self. And I think he's one of my biggest mentors. I'm with him for 5 hours, you know, every weekend. You know, I spend the most time with him. I learn my most valuable lessons from him.
That's so powerful. The things that you can learn from your parents, and they really help you to make good choices, decisions. And so that's so important that they do that. But also your mentors, when they, you know, talking about your mentors, how they can be that extra layer to kind of give you some kind of be well-rounded student athlete. That's awesome. We'll get into the student athlete teacher portion of this, and in an aspect of, you know, COVID has been challenging. Now with California, you all are starting to head back to this hybrid learning. In fact, you start up very soon.
Yeah.
Talk to me how challenging COVID has been for you, because I think a lot of times we hear with student athletes, there was a mental side of it. It was very hard because you couldn't be in the classroom. You couldn't have that one-on-one or ask the teacher question in that kind of a setting. It's a little bit different from a virtual standpoint. So take me through what the challenges were with the student athlete teacher relationship when it involved COVID.
It was very hard because usually you get to know your teachers on a personal level. Like, you know them, they know you. I only could see, what we can see right now. I could only see their face. I had no idea, are you short, you're tall, like, but it was really hard because, usually if you needed something, you just go in and ask them.
Mm.
Now it's through an email and it's like, oh, like, what do I do? And it was really like the first semester was the most challenging semester I've ever had in school. I've always been a 4.0 student. And
Mm.
all of a sudden, this is just, I mean, a lot of mental breakdowns. I can't lie. A lot of mental breakdowns, understanding concepts, and your teacher is trying to teach you and it's new to them too. And they're doing the best they can, but it's all hard. My mom's a teacher. I saw her struggling. So I was like, you got to give grace, but
I like the point that you said though about understanding that teachers having some difficulty with it. A lot of times, as student athletes, you're self-consumed of your own, what you're
yeah,
doing, how you're doing it. Is it the right thing? Is it the wrong thing? And we just don't think about the others that are involved in this. It's new for them as well. So obviously that had to stand out to you, and that's why you said, you know what, I'm not the only one dealing with this. There's others that are struggling. So
yeah.
that's important. With being a student athlete in that side of as far as that relationship goes, how important is that communication? Because even in a Zoom world, it's different. I mean, the virtual world is different. You can just like, hey, I'm going to see the teacher, I'm going to talk to them. But now it's emails. Now it's waiting
Yeah.
for their response. So sometimes if you have a burning question, you kind of have to kind of give some time to wait for it. How was communication with your teacher?
Communication was really hard at first because they have certain like office hours and stuff, and you were like, do I ask, do I not ask? But at a certain point I got comfortable. I started putting my camera on and it got all better. Like, my teachers really started to learn me, to understand me from a personal level. And I think the first month of school, I had to email my teachers and I was like, I have a softball tournament. I'm going to be gone for 3 days. So I got known as the softball girl, like, sorry, I'm going to leave. So that's how they got to know me. So then, communication got easier because they're like, oh, you're going to be gone? Yeah, I have a softball tournament.
Yeah, and I think the thing is too about that is when you have those other things going on in your life. So it's home life, it's the tournaments. That was a lot to juggle. You had to really be clear in communication and say, like, okay, Simon's due on Friday, but I have a tournament. Um, and it's not to ask the teacher, hey, can I get a little bit of a break? But I think it's a little bit of an understanding that, hey, I have this going on too. Could I get flexible?
Yeah,
Flexibility. That's the key word there in how a student athlete and a teacher can get along. Is that true?
that's true.
With you in your classes, favorite class that Bella's really loves?
I think one of my favorite classes is actually math. I know that's not something people usually say,
They
but
don't.
not at all. But I've always enjoyed math. I think it's just come easy to me. Something that is just like easy to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I like the teacher. He's funny. He plays rock music. We jam out before tests. So I'm like, I'm in. So I'm really excited to be able to meet him.
That that's the first time I've heard somebody say that, hey, I'm gonna play a little rock music before we get started for a test.
Yep.
So that's everything. I think the thing is that the teacher has to have some level of being, I'm going to motivate my students. I'm going to find a way that I can motivate them, but really take the pressure out of the classroom as much as I can. That's pretty cool. I like that idea. When you look at the least favorite class that you have, is there a least favorite class that you kind of, hey, you know what? It's not my favorite. It's not my least favorite.
I wouldn't say I have a least favorite class, but definitely my hardest class is probably Spanish and learning it online.
Okay.
So, I mean, but I love my teachers. I mean, I really love my teachers, and that's why I was really bummed that we're virtual this year because, I think about them and I'm like, oh, like, you would have been so cool to get to meet and establish a relationship with.
Well, and the other thing is too about Spanish, any language, you have
Yeah.
to practice it. I mean, that's like, hey, mom, dad, I need to practice Spanish with you. So, there's got to be some dialogue we have because I got to get this in my head.
Yeah.
Um, but no, that's understandable. I mean, it's obviously not about being favorite or whatever, but the one that you maybe struggle a little bit with is that. With the relationship as far as the student teacher in that, do you feel that you, Bella, have to give, because sometimes a teacher may feel, hey, these student athletes, they're just here to play ball. They're just here to do that. And by the way, you also run cross country, so you have two sports. Um, do you try to make sure that you leave the teacher with a good outlook of what a student athlete really is?
Yeah, I think it's really important, which one of my biggest things that my parents have always pushed on me is that school first, school first before sports. And so I feel like that's something that's always, I've always partaken in. So that's how my teachers, we understand. And it's like, yes, I'm leaving, or yes, I have to leave early, but I'm going to get my work done and I'm going to turn it on time. Like, I don't need an extra 2 days, I'll turn it on time.
Right. Yeah, that's important. And I think the thing is too, is that the question I always ask student athletes is, how do you help the teacher be successful? What are some things that you have to possess, Bella, to help the teacher out to be the best they can, especially under a hybrid learning situation now?
I think something that's really important is communicating. If something's not working out and, a lot of kids don't understand, maybe be the one to speak up and be like, can you go over this? Can you do this? Or even reach out an email. This isn't really working for me. Because if it's not working for me, then it's probably not working for 6 other kids in the class. So I think a big thing is just communicating to them like what the issue is head on, and don't just wait and then you're stuck.
I think that word, I think, is so important on every level, even on your sports, is vocal. You have to become vocal. You have to speak up. Otherwise, the teacher has no clue
Yeah.
that if you're struggling, sometimes a lot of times with some students is that they go, okay, I got this. I got this. I can get this. I have no problem. I'll fight myself way through it. I'll fight through it. I'll get through it. But that may not always be a great thing to do. I mean, that that may be challenging. And I think the thing is, for a teacher, they have to know. So you have to be vocal. That's important. With the teacher though, what do they have to do as far as possess qualities in themselves to help you be the best student athlete possible?
I think that they just have to, be straightforward. I'm a visual learner, so, doing things and showing me if I need to be shown like multiple times, but just being patient, I think, is really important. Especially being virtual, I think you need to be patient with your students, because it was a real struggle to be able to get used to doing virtual. So, I mean, patience is key. If you can have patience, then we can get all of our tasks done at the end of the day.
Yeah, how hard is it to do a lesson over Zoom?
Oh,
I
it's
mean, you got
so
you got to like, hey, do all the students see my screen? Do you see what
yeah.
I'm pointing at? I mean, it's got to be hard.
Yeah, and some of my teachers are like, "Oh, you can't see this," and we're like, "No, your screen is black." And they're like, "Oh, like I don't know what to do," and we're like, "Well, we don't know, like, like I couldn't tell you."
We don't have an IT department at our disposal as students.
No.
I'm sorry. That's interesting. We have here with us Bella Garcia. She was the OC Bat Busters. It's a club team, 3.9 GPA in the classroom, so she's doing it there. Also a cross country and softball player, softball corner utility, and class of 2022 at Murrieta Mesa High School in California. We'll be right back.
I had this vision of what success looked like. It wasn't always about holding a trophy. It was the journey that I went through along the way. It takes years to get to greatness. I played this one sport for 28 years of my life. When you move on into a completely new territory, you don't know what to expect. I think through sport, I realized that so many things are in my hands. I want to take all the lessons from my past and contribute it to the future. Theragun has been part of my routine for many, many years now. With Therabody, my body's ready, my mind is ready, I'm challenged.
I'm Maria Sharapova. How do you see you?
I'd like to welcome everybody back to our show. Again, we're here with Bella Garcia, class of 2022, with the club team Orange County Bad Busters. She is out of Murrieta Mesa High School in California, GPA 3.9, cross country and softball corner utility. Bella, when we get into this piece here of student athlete challenges, when I say those words, I know something's got to come to mind. What are some things that you're facing right now that make it tough and that challenge you every day as a student athlete?
Something that challenges me is really becoming overwhelmed at points, especially when I'm in cross country season and softball season and I have cross country practice and I go home, get ready, and I go to Anaheim for lessons, and I have a back-to-back 2 days in a row, and then I come home at 9 o'clock, so sometimes, it gets the best of me. I have my breakdown, but I mean, that's probably my biggest thing is becoming overwhelmed with all of the tasks that I have.
I have to be, and being, it's interesting with being overwhelmed comes what? Anxiety. So
Yeah.
there that you're trying not to get to that point.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to kind of work yourself down and say, okay, I can't take on everything. I need to kind of really I have to prioritize, right? What are some other things? I think that time management seems to be an interesting one.
Yeah, time management for sure. It's sometimes harder, when you have all these things. Oh, like when it hits 4 o'clock, that's when my day starts. And it's like, I only have 2 hours to do homework. And it's like, but I have a test tomorrow, and it becomes an issue of thinking like, when can I do this? And how can I do my best tomorrow? How can I get enough sleep?
I like the way how you put that. You need sleep.
Yeah.
I think a lot of student athletes forget that. It's like, I got all-nighters and having fun or whatever. I'm on the phone, man, whatever it is
Yeah.
that, hey, sleep is important. So that's big. With these student athlete challenges, when you're a dual sport athlete, you're doing cross country and softball and trying to keep that 3.9, hit that 4.0, how does those things that you have challenges with when it comes to those student athlete challenges, how does that make those things difficult? I mean, you talked about anxiety, being overwhelmed, and then follows things being anxious and anxiety. How else does this affect you? Can this affect in home life and other things in your life that you face?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think it affects my mood sometimes just because, I'm so drained or tired out, and it's just like it's repetitive at some points, cross country, and then softball, cross country, softball, school, and you have no time and to get out or do anything. So, yeah, sometimes you're angry, sometimes you're not in a good mood, and, you don't want to talk to anyone. But it's just because, I have to get this stuff done. And all that's on my mind is, okay, I go from here, here, and here. And, like sometimes you forget.
Well, and there's this thing called the switch, right? Some student athletes, and, we've heard teams, hey, they turn on the switch and they're able to perform at eye level.
Yeah.
That is not the easiest thing for a student athlete sometimes, is to turn on that switch. So in a moment of where, you're dealing with a lot academically, you're dealing a lot with home life, you got chores, whatever it is. And now you got to get up for cross country. Now you got to get up for softball and be in that mindset of, hey, I've got to be coachable. I have to work hard. I got to exert myself. That is what you're talking about, where it gets to be very difficult to try to manage, right?
Yeah.
With student athlete challenges, you have to have something in the toolbox. And what I'm saying here is there has to be something that you are able to have in your possession that you can go, okay, you know what? If I do this, that's going to help me with time management. If I do that, that's going to help me with not becoming overwhelmed. What are some tools that you're using to kind of keep you organized, keep you prepared and focused?
So I have a planner and it has weekly, but it also has monthly. So when I know my schedule, for the set month and it keeps going, I start writing everything out. So I know, okay, I have this day. So then if I have a free day, I'm like, okay, you can finally do something for yourself, you know? It's kind of like your mind rest day, you know, you get a break. But it's like I try to space everything out to where I'm not overwhelmed. And so I don't have to get to that point. And then I have an app on my phone too, and it's called My Homework. And so it gives me notifications. So that's also how I time it out. Like, okay, you get a 15-minute break, and then I get a notification, and it's like, all right, you got to get back.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Not only from a, because you mentioned you are a visual person, so
Yeah.
that planner, seeing things written out, scratching them off as you get them done,
Mhm.
but then also too having notifications. Uh, that's kind of like, it's the checks and balances. As it,
Yeah.
I mean, really, when you think about it, because if you're off, that alarm is going to tell you. My homework app, it's going to tell you if you're running off of, hey,
Yeah.
I'm not on time here. With you, when you're looking at that aspect of these apps and things of that sort, do you find that you have to fit in social time? Because I think that's a big thing for student athletes is, where do I fit my friends? How do they fit? Where do they fit? Where do I put them in? Because again, I have to understand that I have goals and aspirations and I want to be successful, not only in my sports, but also my academics. Where do your friends fit? How do you do that? How do you schedule that time?
You know, I think from a young age, always playing travel ball, it was really hard to grow up and know, you know, oh, my friend's having a birthday party on Saturday, and guess what? I have practice. Like, I can't go. You know, I've had a lot of those where I'm like, sorry, like I can't go. But I think as we get older and we're able to drive, I've seen it's more, okay, do you want to hang out, you know, for a couple hours? And I found a perfect friend group to where they're okay with just hang out a couple hours, you know. I get home at 3 o'clock. Yeah, you still want to hang out with me for 4 hours and just go home, you know, knowing that I have games the next day or and you know, the best part about playing softball for so long is I have a lot of softball friends. So we can all equally fit together, you know. Oh, you can't have a sleepover, I can have a sleepover. Perfect.
Your circle. It's really what it
Yeah.
boils down to, is your circle is the right circle for
Hmm.
your situation. I think there's an aspect of like letting your friends down. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to
Yeah.
say, oh, I keep on missing these important events for you. However, if I have a circle of softball friends, then I know that they understand what I'm going through. Because don't get it twisted, you have training. You're going to the batting cages. You're going to these facilities trying to get that workout in, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not easy to juggle that. Um, Looking at what media, and we'll get to this media aspect. Media has to be handled a certain way, because I mean, you look at Twitter, for example. Some of the things that you post, you want to make sure it represents you the best way. You don't want
Hmm.
it to have any way, shape, or form to tell a different story. So you put a lot of training stuff. We've seen your Twitter. It's kind of your business profile for colleges, I would say.
Yeah.
How important is media to you?
I think media is one of the most important things to me as of right now, especially with recruiting, because all of this coronavirus stuff, I mean, college coaches have went from going to your games to no, I have to watch footage. Like I need footage. You know, that's the main thing that they ask for. And so it's like, oh, like give me a Twitter, give me an Instagram, and just tag them. Tag, you know? So I think I've gotten really good at using social media to display myself and put myself on the map.
And that's tough to see, because you were seeing those, and you said that you were seeing them out to the games. They're scarce now because of
Yeah.
this. They have to implement safety protocol to not put anybody else in jeopardy, and it's good for them as a college institution not to put anybody at risk. So yes, footage is everything. Do you think it's important that a student athlete handles it the right way? Because what you post, it's hard to say, hey, I didn't post that.
Yeah. I think knowing who you are, you know, is very important, but also knowing that you like I've always, you know, from a young age, they've always said, don't post anything you wouldn't want your grandma to see. You know, like don't say anything you wouldn't want your grandma to see. So I think that's really important in Twitter or Instagram, and you think before you post. It's like, does this represent me? Does this represent who I am? Is this how I want people to know who I am? And I think that's one of the most important things is thinking.
Well, and it's also a thing of where it doesn't matter when you do post. I mean, you have to look at yourself and go, hey, if I'm a freshman, if I'm an eighth grader, if I'm whatever, what I post isn't going to be important because that can be used against me, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. You know, with that, do you look at media as far as, you know, with how you handle it? Are there certain platforms you're using for certain things in your media? Like Twitter, we've established, but is there like Instagram is probably the same thing as what Twitter would be for you? But are there other apps and things that you use that you say, you know what, I got to control myself here. I got to take a responsible attitude on how I handle it.
Not really. I have Snapchat too. But I mean, yeah, that's the big one, huh?
Yeah, that's the big one. That's a big one. I mean, that's one that I haven't even figured out to this day. And we have tried to use it, and it's like you got to snap, and I'm like, snap what? And so I don't get it. That's just, but it's one of those things that your age group, I guess, understand whatever. But I just haven't got it. But for you, I think it's still you're having to control that, right?
Yeah, but also at the same time, I don't really have to control anything because I'm not the type of person, to do something that's or post something wrong, you know what I mean?
There
Like
you go.
that. So at the same time, like that's not something I worry about if I'm posting or anything. And frankly, I don't really post on Snapchat anymore, so I guess it doesn't matter. I'm more on
Right.
Instagram and Twitter nowadays.
Right, exactly. Do your parents help out with that a little bit, or what role do they play when it comes to your social media, recruiting, so on and so forth, where there's maybe interest or somebody asked for an interview or something like that? How are your parents involved in this decision, or is it just you?
um, I actually have a recruiting coach, Humphreys. I don't know if you know him, but that's who I use for like if it would be like interviews and stuff. But my parents, my dad pitches the balls, my mom records. My dad hits the balls, my mom records. She's my media management. She sends me the videos, I'll edit them, post them. But I mean, without her, I wouldn't have the videos that I have. So gotta give props.
I applaud your parents because that's instructor and a videographer. Good job, mom and dad. That's awesome. No, that's awesome. What is it like? Let's talk about high school, Murrieta Mesa High School. Bella, take outside the games into the corridors. I know it's been a while since you've been there, but explain what Murrieta Mesa is like, the mascot, the support for the sports, the academics. Explain that.
So we are the Rams, Murrieta Mesa Rams. And, I think we've gone very spirited over the years. And it kind of made me sad that we didn't get to go this year because us and the senior class, we were very competitive. We had these things called like Rampage and, so it'd be like class versus class. And it would be so crazy and loud in there. But I think that is it was so much fun to go to high school, and see everyone. And I think it was really nice. Just I think there's a lot of really good people there, and so I mean, just being there was amazing. I mean, I loved it. I was supposed to go to a different high school. I transferred, and I don't regret my decision at all. Like I've met some amazing people out of it, But academically, I mean, I love all my teachers. All the teachers that I've had, I don't like. There's not one teacher that I could say like, oh, like I didn't like you. Like, no, I loved my teachers and I've established relationships with them. I talked to one of my teachers, she's one of I hung out with her at the football game the other day that I went to. Yeah. So I mean, that's us. I mean, we're spirited, but, we love just hanging out and being good people. I think there's a lot of good people there.
Do you feel that Murrieta Mesa is one of those schools that is supporting the student athletes academically? Because there's resources like academic centers. The teachers are, as you said, the teachers are they're really close with you, and you feel that they're there for you to help you. So are there other ways of getting academic support? Is that a good school?
Well, yeah, I think so. We have this thing called National Honor Society, and they actually tutor kids. So you can go in, and if you need help, you can have tutors. Yeah. But also something I really loved about our school was, so every Wednesday we had a free period for third period. So you get like a golden ticket. That's what we called it. But so if you needed to make up any test, if you needed to go into any other class, you could do that. But if you didn't, you could just have a break. But it was really nice because you're like, oh, like I have to go in the morning, like before school, to make up a test. But it was like, no, I have third period on Wednesday and I can make that up. So I think that was something that really helps a lot of students.
You touched on something that I thought was interesting, because a lot of times student athletes will not ask for this. If they do ask for it, they may think like, okay, I'm challenged in some way. I'm having a really tough time. But tutors,
Yeah.
tutors are everything. I mean, when you look at, hey, if I need to get an A and I'm getting a B right now, these tutors, hey, I will use a tutor. Is that your approach when you look at tutoring?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I'm actually in National Honor Society, so I help tutor. But, I think it's really important. I mean, if you need help, ask. And I think I've learned that, it's okay to struggle. It's okay to struggle. It's okay not to get a concept. But if you don't ask and you don't try your best, then you can't say you put all your effort in, to get the grade at the end of the day. Like you could have done, there's always something you can do.
Oh, so important. Well, we're here with Bella Garcia. She is a class of 2022, softball and cross country. In softball, she's a corner utility, GPA 3.9, plays with the Orange County Bat Busters. And she's out of Murrieta Mesa High School in California. We'll be right back.
Customer service has always been at the heart of everything we do at Enterprise. And now, more than ever, we know the importance of keeping our valued partners, like you, informed about the service enhancements we've made for the safety and well-being of your customers and our employees. The Enterprise Complete Clean Pledge is our commitment to maintaining the highest standards of safety and cleanliness. Vehicle cleanliness has always been important, but right now customers need even more confidence that the vehicle they are driving is clean and safe. With our Complete Clean Pledge, no matter where customers rent with us, a repair shop, their home, or our rental branch, customers will know their rental vehicle has been cleaned and sanitized in compliance with procedures established by leading health experts. Customers will see notifications within their vehicle that indicate it has been thoroughly cleaned using strict sanitizing procedures. These procedures include a strong focus on 20 high touch points throughout the vehicle, as well as washing, vacuuming, general wipe down, and sanitizing with a disinfectant. Additionally, we are innovating the rental process to minimize contact between your customers and our employees. Enterprise Launchpad allows us to interact with your customer where they are most comfortable and complete a properly distanced, low-touch rental transaction. Our safety precautions also extend to our rental locations. We've installed plexiglass counter shields to protect our customers and employees. Touchable surfaces are sanitized regularly, and curbside pickup options are offered to customers visiting a rental location. As the needs of your customers evolve, we want you to know that we are committed to maintaining the highest standards of safety and cleanliness, along with the same great service you expect from Enterprise. Thank you for your partnership.
Well, we'd like to welcome everybody back to Outside the Game show. We have here Bella Garcia, class of 2022, GPA 3.9. She is from Murrieta Mesa High School in California. She does two sports, cross country and softball, corner utility. And she's also part of the Orange County Bat Busters. I love that name. Hey, Bella, talk to me first of all, softball and cross country.
Mhm.
Why the passion to play those sports? Take me through that.
Softball, I've been playing since I was 2. I watched my sister do it her whole life. And so, initially I had to do it. Cross country didn't come, it just came, because When I was in 8th grade, I think it was 8th grade year, I was swinging a bat and I dislocated and tore my labrum. And I was out for a year. And, when the doctor told me finally, he said, you can run. And I was like, well, I need to do something with my life. So I joined cross country. So that's where cross country came from. And I've done it ever since. I like being in shape and being able to go from cross country to softball. But it really helps me mentally. I think running helps. So, that's where cross country came from. It just came. It wanted me.
Now, going back to, because you said softball, cross country, and we'll get into a little bit of those sports in a minute, but Orange County Bat Busters, that club team, how long have you been part of that club team, and how has this been in a club team that's helped you?
I have been a part of it since I was 9 years old, when we were originally Team Mizuno. So I've been around since, the beginning. My dad has coached over the years, and he's always been a coach. But I've always loved being a bat buster and what they stand for. I've had some great coaches. Like, I've got to practice with Mike Stith and Mark Campbell, and now I'm with Tony Bracamonte, and they're all really good coaches. And so it's just learning from their perspective, and they've coached amazing athletes. And so and being able to see the athletes grow. I've been there when Amanda Lorenz and Alyssa Palomino, were working out and they were 17 years old, 16, 17, now I see them in college, and it's crazy, it was like, wow, like I've really seen you guys grow up and who you guys have become to be. So I think it was an amazing opportunity just to be, in the midst of, these great players.
How powerful is that? Especially being young, and to see those examples. That's just big. To the fact that you decided to do the cross country to stay in shape, to try to at least do that. What's the difference between track and cross country? Why didn't you do track? Something about cross country, right?
I did do track.
Okay.
I did do track my freshman year, but I did cross country first.
Okay.
And, when I first started cross country, I was like, wow, like, you think it's just a sport and you're like, oh, they just run. It is crazy to see like how hard it is. Like, I was running during summer, I was running 8 miles. Like, that's how good of shape I got in. And I'm just thinking, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, the boys are doing like 10 miles a day. And I'm like, so this is what you guys do for a living. Like, this is all you do, and then we get into track, and I didn't running around a track 4 times in a row. Like, it didn't pertain to me. I didn't really like it. And that's why I stopped doing track, and also I had softball. But I think it's so different in, you're running around track, but I love cross country because you go to places and you get to look at the view. I remember one time we like ran around a lake, and, and it was like, wow, like you get to watch, you get to look at all these things, and you're like, wow, like it's pretty.
You can't
distraction from all the
well, and you can't be too enamored with the setting, because sometimes you'll be like, oh wow, look at this lake. Oh my gosh, now I'm being passed by so and so.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes when you're out of breath and you're dying and you're just like, oh, look at the duck. Try to distract yourself.
Well, there's got to be beautiful venues when you talk about the aspect of cross country, and sometimes, hey, you can get little scratches and nicks in cross country because there's a thing called bushes in places that you don't expect, and you may run into one.
Yeah. Oh, I fall. Well, bushes aren't an issue for me, but concrete has been.
Oh, wow.
I've fallen numerous times, just being clumsy, and my whole knee's like scraped in blood, and that's just me though,
And Bella's having to continue to run. She's got to finish the race, right?
I'm like, coach, I'm bleeding again. Sorry. Throw me a Band-Aid or something.
Right. Hey, why don't they have those people that are standing in places of the actual race handing out water? I think they do have something like that, right?
No, they don't. But honestly, when I'm running, I've thought the same thing so many times. I'm like, this would be so nice to just stop and drink some water. I'm like, I'm really dying. I'm on mile 2 and I'm like out of breath.
Or hand you a Band-Aid, like I'm bleeding.
Yeah. It's like I need a personal assistant.
Right.
Really follow me. Here, you need a Band-Aid? Here, you need some water?
Right. Going to softball. So the training that's involved in your sport, take me through what it's been like, especially during COVID. You've had to really be smart when it comes to training. When you train, how you train. But some facilities weren't open.
Yeah.
There was some of that. So student athletes were being very, very creative when it came to their training. So what kind of things were you working during this COVID situation?
So during COVID, it was actually really nice because my facility, they actually got the trainers started doing lives on Facebook. So we all could tune in and, do the workout. But I mean, oh my gosh, to see all the girls getting so creative, like using water jugs as weights, like that's what everyone was using books as like to put your leg on to do lunges. I mean, after that, it's kind of like, wow, there really is no excuse. Because look what we all just did. I mean, you're literally carrying water bottles, to add some weight. So, I mean, yeah, it was crazy.
Wow. Uh, have you noticed though too that now that things are opening up a little bit, where do you find yourself doing a lot of your training? I noticed some of
Um,
it outside, in the kind of a batting scenario, maybe some fielding. But where are you doing some of your training right now, and some places that are helping you out?
so usually when I'm just at home, I have my cage, which is really useful. I'm like really grateful that I, have a cage and a big enough backyard for a cage. But I also go to SEC, that's our facility that the OC Baptisters train in, and it's been opened up. We clean all the stuff, so I mean nothing has happened, but lessons started back up. So I'm over there, and then I have fielding on Thursday, and that's outside, so it works. We found ways to make it work, and so make sure everything's clean, and that no one is getting sick.
What about the because now student athletes are really thinking about, hey, I got to be bigger, faster, stronger. So when it comes to the weight room, what are some things that you're doing as far as training in the weight room to help build your lower body, upper body, and core? Because all of those parts of what make up your anatomy are huge when it comes to competing in the game that you love.
Yeah, I think one of the most things that's helped me is lifting. Deadlifts, front squat, everything, just to get my legs, because I think legs are one of the most important thing. I mean, it's your power base. So I think that's probably my biggest thing. With running, that's how I help myself, speed, agility, being conditioned, being able to go places and, being conditioned. And when we played in Florida, it was really hot, but my body is okay with it because, I've been training and I've been working hard. But lifting, I think lifting has been the biggest asset for me, especially with my shoulder injury. I really had to do arm exercises, and I've learned that, oh, you need to stretch. Like your body needs to stretch. And, that's something I don't think that a lot of people really take in. And then you get it hurt and you're like, oh, why did I get hurt? Oh, I didn't stretch. So stretching has become, daily.
No, that's big. And I think a lot of student athletes don't stretch. And I
Yeah.
think that's because it's like, oh, I feel fine. I'm ready to play. But it's also a thing of where, hey, I got to get my body warm enough to deal. If I'm especially late in a game and where you're pushing your body to the limits, stretching is really, really big. Have you noticed that there's one thing that I think that student athletes just have a hard time with? It's core. Doing the core workouts, because it's interesting the way the body is. The core is attached to your hip flexors, where you're using that momentum to carry that bat and make connection with the ball. So core is not easy.
No, it's killer. It kills me sometimes. I just started doing core workout again because I was like, you gotta start doing core. I was like, you can't just let it go. Actually, I just started this morning again. Got my exercises on my phone, I know I'm gonna be sore tomorrow, so.
I'll tell you, he puts it all together. Hey, so with your team, Murrieta Mesa,
Mhm.
the Rams,
Yes.
with that softball team, what did you get out of this year that you've played or that you're doing right now and competing? What are your goals? Because again, the seasons have been kind of weird because it's like, okay, let's try to fit as many games as we feel that we can, that we remain people to be safe as much as possible. That may not be a full game season, full of games, but at least you're able to play and compete. What is this season looking like today, this year, and what are you trying to get out of it?
Well, I think we are going to have a full season. I mean, we have 21 games, I think it was, on our roster. So, I mean, I feel really blessed, that we are able to play and we're going to get a season, because last year we only played one league game, and as a team perspective, our goal is to win league, win CIF. I mean, that's what, next week we play against, some of the best teams. And so, I mean, it's good for us. So I think that's a big part right now. Like, we're really focusing on, we got to be a team and we got to win. Do everything, It's important to do bunts, everything, help the team. Because when you get to that good pitching, it's like you have to get runs as much as you can. You don't need a home run, but you might need a bunt to move your runner over to get in scoring position.
Who's your rival at Murrieta Mesa?
Our rival is Vista Murrieta.
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
Battles with those girls. And it gets a little chippy. It's got to get a little chippy.
Oh yeah. I've had my fair share of games where, some girls, I mean, it gets intense. I don't know why, but, someone says something and they don't like it, and, it lights a fire in someone. And it's like, wow.
Well, and I get this. There's a lot of chattering going on.
Yeah.
A lot of cheering, chattering, going on, happening from both dugouts. It seems to be that way.
Yeah, games get crazy.
Corner utility. Talk to me about your position and what you feel that you've improved in this year.
I really think I've improved in, being able to play in any position that a coach needs me to be. I've always played, I went from second when I was like 10s, but I've always played corner now. I come into high school and it's like, there's already like 3 other corners. So what do? Go to outfield, So I started playing outfield, and, it's just learning a new position, but it's like, oh, you teach yourself, you're like, oh, like I can actually do this. Like, and you give props because, and you're yelling at your teammates that you need to do this. And then you go in there and you're like, oh, that isn't the easiest thing to do. So I think it's been a good eye opener for me, personally, just seeing like, oh, I can do, if a coach needs me here, I can be there. So I think that's one of the most important things I've learned.
Does Bella, do you watch a lot of softball? I know you got to. There's a lot of NCAA softball. I'm sure there's some teams on your radar that you like to watch play. Who are those teams?
I love watching Oregon, just because, that's where I'm from. My parents are the biggest Oregon Duck fans you can be. They don't like the Beavers. I mean, that's just, we follow our QBs. We love the Raiders and we love the Chargers just because our QBs. So I think Oregon's probably the most important team that we watch.
That's awesome. Brooke Yanez was putting on a clinic with those 15Ks. My goodness gracious. Goodness. I've reached out to her and I'm like, your placement and your location and your heat. I'm like, Brooke, wow. And she came from, I think, Cal State Fullerton, if I remember correctly. She was attending there. She transferred over to Oregon. So yeah, just watching some of these, plays being made, ladies reaching up all the way up, almost doing the splits and then making a tag on somebody on second, diving catches, whatever it is. That's huge. Yeah. What do you like about your coach at Murrieta Mesa High School and the softball coach? The coaches there, they seem to really care about you student athletes and really, hey, watch film. Let's get you prepared. What do you appreciate about your coaches?
Well, I think one thing that I appreciate most is that they don't try to change what we've learned, because I see in high school sometimes coaches, they want their way. But it's like, no, our coach accepts, the Mercado way, the Baptist way, the Firecracker way. And I think that's something that I've really loved. Like, he's never tried to change a swing or change how you field. So I think that's one of the best things, but also just, implementing important things and knowing, we don't practice 5 days a week. he gives us Fridays off. And so I think he just knows, I mean, he understands. He was a football player. He understands what it's like to be an athlete.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's big, understanding that. And I think the thing is too is I like to use this because I know your dad loves cars. Fine-tuning adjustments, right? So when you're able to fine-tune something, so it's like you don't want to necessarily change it, but you may be able to make it better. So you're able to work with it. And I think that's what you're saying your coaches do a great job of.
Yeah, and I think high school is more about reps than anything else, because, I mean, we use this to get ready for summer. I mean, all these games are good for us to see live pitching and get ready so we're ready for summer. I mean, from here to July, I mean, this is really the most crucial points for softball players. This is when our schedules start getting busy, and, we have games. But I think it helps us in ways, because we have those reps every day.
Oh, that's big. Well, I tell you, I can just imagine, especially now with the COVID's changing, where we're seeing people being vaccinated, things are starting to open up, movie theaters are opening up. I mean, restaurants and all this stuff. So, what is when things are up and running? What kind of things does Bella Garcia do in Murrieta and Mesa area in California? What are you doing?
I mean, not to be mean, but Murrieta, we don't really have anything to do here. Like, you got the mall, kind of, but we have one of these movie theaters, and it's so fun. Like, oh my gosh, they have the best chicken tenders. I love, that's my favorite food on earth. I'm a chicken tender girl, and I love going there with my, my parents, and just having, family time. I think that's something that's really important to me, especially my dad has a team. And so he's practicing on the weekends, and then we're gone. And so I feel like we never really have time, so it's just nice to sometimes get time, spend with your family or spend with your friends. But I try to make it a priority to spend time with my family most of the time.
Love that. Well, I'll tell you, we appreciate you very much for coming on Outside the Games, Bella. It's been a pleasure to get to know you and understand, what makes you the student athlete that you are on and off the field, and your character and the academics. Boy, it means a lot to us, and we appreciate you very much.
Well, thank you for letting me get this opportunity.
Oh, and I hope you had fun.
I did.
But we're not done. We have this thing called the Quick Blitz. Oh yes, Bella Garcia, Isabella, we get to know you more on a personal level. We're gonna start here because I already know you spoke on it. Favorite food?
Chicken tenders.
and let's be clear, Bella, are you the chicken tender aficionado, snob? I mean, because there's a certain way you got to make your chicken tenders. I mean, let's break it down. There's McDonald's, Burger King, and then there's somebody that actually does take the chicken and they actually use the right breadcrumbs to make the chicken tender and do its thing. I mean, there's Chick-fil-A. I mean, you take me through. What is a good chicken tender?
I mean, I love me some Chick-fil-A. I could eat Chick-fil-A every single day if I could. I mean, that is really my go-to. If I'm gonna eat fast food, I'm gonna eat Chick-fil-A. I mean,
love it. What's your favorite dessert?
I have no idea. I like ice cream.
Yeah, ice cream. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Favorite musical artist you're listening to right now?
Oh, I'm really into Justin Bieber right now on The Weeknd.
Oh, that's great. Favorite cleat to wear?
New Balance.
Okay. Favorite bat?
DeMarini.
Okay.
Yep.
Apple or Android, and why?
Apple, because I don't know, our society has made the Apple phone the most important phone to use, so that's, you have an Apple phone or.
Last movie you just saw, my dear?
I think I watched Soul, the Disney movie, and I absolutely cried at the end like a baby. I was so upset.
tears came out of Bella. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so she got some emotion. It's okay.
Yeah.
Some sensitivity. She has a sensitivity spot on her. It's okay. If you could travel anywhere in the world, what would be your destination spot you'd love to visit?
I think Greece.
Ooh, yes. Yes, blue water,
Yes.
nice buildings, like really cool looking buildings. Oh my. The food. I don't know about chicken tenders, but there's a lot of lamb over there. If you had a favorite car or SUV to drive, favorite anyone, you could pick anyone you want. What would it be?
My dad's 66 Chevy.
American muscle, folks.
Gotta.
American muscle. You were part of doing some car shows with your dad, so that you're talking about some history.
And car shows are my favorite thing to watch. And I mean, take me to a car show and you got it.
There you go. Serious note here is, if you were running late somewhere and you had to let somebody know, Bella, would you call or text, and why?
I think I would call because I think it's important to, hear. And also, but at the same time, if you're calling, like, what if you're in a meeting? What if you're running late to a meeting and you need to text and you can't, the room is silent? I guess it depends on the situation. Personally, I would call, but if I was running late to a meeting, I'd definitely text.
There you go. Depends on the situation, really.
Yeah.
I have anywhere that's wherever you would say, hey, what's the right answer? It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
And some people will go like, is it a call? It's better than texting. I don't know what. Anyway, for you, let's see here. Favorite mitt?
Favorite what? Mint?
Mitt.
Mitt? Like glove?
Glove.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Wilson.
Do they just okay? Correct me. It's not a mitt. It's a glove, right?
Yes. I thought you said mint. I was like, I thought there's
What are
only
you
one
talking
mint.
about? That's like a seasoning or a
Good question.
Yeah. He's like, I didn't expect that, Kevin. So your favorite glove is what? Wilson. There we go. A lot has happened in 2020. We're glad it's over with. It obviously, looking at the kind of world landscape of what people are experiencing, and this is a personal question to you, Bella, is if you could change one thing or have an impact in one thing in the world today, what would it be?
I would say if I could change one thing, I think, see, that's a hard one because there's so many issues that have gone on in just a short span of time. But I think one thing that really has gone over the top is social media and how it's used and portrayed. And I think I just change, for people to just step out, not use their phones for a day, because I mean, I've seen so many things that have been twisted, or, just at a certain point, I deleted all my social media for a while because, there was just so many bad things in the world. And it's all they show is this and this and this. And it's you don't need to, I mean, things need to change, yes. But it's there's just so much things that have came out of it, and canceling people, and it's just be a teen, that's what I think at the end. Just be a teenager and grow up, because you only have one life, and then you're gonna grow old and you're gonna get a job. And so I think that's something that we really take for granted our lives. And I think that's one thing, and it's because of phones and social media, because we're so consumed every single day. And it's become our life. That's how you communicate now. So I think that is something I would change.
If you had to pick two things that you would prefer, in a sense of what you would want to clean, would it be the dishes or the bathroom?
The dishes.
Easy one. Our last question, and this is because you're going to be a senior, so you are smart. You're already smart. 3.9. about to be 4.0. I know it's coming. I know that 4.0 is coming. It'd be what you would prefer. So, first is, Bella, would you prefer a chicken tender overly cooked, dry? You've probably had an experience with that. Or would you rather be on Outside the Game show?
Outside the Game show, for sure.
Right, exactly. Don't give me no dry, busted up chicken tender that I can't even chew on and it doesn't taste right. That's sad.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you very much, Isabella Garcia. She is class of 2022, again, GPA 3.9, out of Murrieta Mesa High School, part of the Orange County Batbusters there in California. And she is softball, cross country, softball corner utility. I tell you, we look forward so much to see you grow and see what happens in the future for you, Isabella. We appreciate you being on Outside the Games. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope you had fun.
I did.
It's a pleasure to have you on our show. Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Alexa Hanish, and you're watching Outside the Games.